Hello, welcome to PODnas. This is a sports show with us Southern and Cajun flair. I'm Daniel Hawks, barely. That's Jarrett Roser. Today we are doing our first college football preview. It is college football weekend. Finally, it is here. We are ready. I sound awful. I'm just coming off of sickness, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. You can obviously tell my voice is a little sparse, so I'm going to let Jarrett take over, introduce the people, tell them what we're doing today.
Yeah, it's a new college football season in full go. We obviously talked earlier this week about a couple of games for week 0, which is kind of like the soft open friends and family version of college football every fall. But this is the real deal. Holyfield week 1, full slate of games. LSU kicking off its season. All the Louisiana schools other than Nichols and Southern, who were a part of the week 0 festivities. And so just like we did last year, we'll pick 7 games every week and just kind of highlight a lot of Louisiana stuff as well as the top games around the country. And there is certainly a big one elsewhere in week 1 this year once again. So a lot to look forward to on Saturday from, 11 a.m. Central all the way into the nighttime hours. And I'm looking forward to it, man.
Absolutely. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. Start off with college football. And let's kind of get into it. The big game for us LSU fans is in the evening. LSU at Clemson, 6:30 ABC. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a tough game. It's a hell of a test for LSU for the first game of the season. How do you expect the Tigers to fare coming out in fake Death Valley? And I'm not calling it that. That's what it is. Just because you have a graveyard next to your stadium doesn't make it Death Valley. Grow up. Be an adult.
I didn't get to ask you more about this, and we didn't get to pull the full feature together, but something I had told you and a couple people about that we were looking into was with all of that summer talk of where is Death Valley, I was curious hearing from some folks around the country outside of Louisiana, outside of South Carolina, where do you view Death Valley as? And you sent me someone, I think, intoxicated from a bar in the middle of like Saturday night and just said, where's Death Valley? Where we don't have to say who it was or whatever. Where was that guy from though, originally?
Here's the thing. I don't even remember his name.
But John Doe of Wicker Park, Chicago, or Wrigleyville, or wherever the hell you were.
It was Lincoln Park, Chicago.
He said very definitively Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yes, he did. And he's from the Midwest. So he's from a burb of Chicago. But, man, my voice is struggling today. Okay. He is, it wasn't even prefaced. I told him that I went to LSU, and he started talking about how LSU was the real Death Valley. He really wanted to go to a game there, but could not. So, yeah, it's definitive off of one drunk guy in Lincoln Park, Chicago.
I don't remember any great odes from Scott Van Pelt about the Death Valley in South Carolina as being the craziest place to go catch a college football game. So regardless of who maybe used the moniker first, it seems like the consensus on a wider scale is LSU is the place to be for that.
Zune came out before iPod. All right. It doesn't matter who came out first. It matters who perfected it.
Who does it best. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
I may be super biased in this, but so is NCAA football 2026. LSU has the best environment in the country for home field advantage.
And I heard some chatter this week, honestly. I think it was Chris Blair and Gordy Rush while I was waiting on Brian Kelly's press conference Monday, talking about the dynamic of, you said at the start of this, essentially, what's kind of the expectation, what's it going to look like going out there. And I think that's part of the beauty of college football and not having an exhibition game is everyone's waiting to see what these teams look like because everyone's real confident right now. And for LSU in particular, they're trying to end this road skid to start seasons. And those games have largely been neutral sites, but now LSU actually goes on a true road trip. And what Chris and Gordy were saying is sometimes that can be a little bit better for some teams. And LSU has had a history of this as an issue in the past, where young guys can weirdly feed off of that road energy, and neutral site games don't quite carry the same juice because it's so split. And so I'm interested to see how some of those dynamics work, just how LSU comes out and starts this game, knowing the amount of focus they've put on this thing, seeing them in this different environment. I wish I was going to be up there, honestly, Saturday night. It's going to be a cool opportunity to watch LSU at Clemson and not a neutral site game to start the season. But it's obviously going to be a long 4-quarter game, but I'm very curious to see how some things start, because some of these games in recent years for LSU, they have a great opening drive, it appears, and then they kind of stall at the goal line, or something goes wrong early that immediately puts you on a little bit of a nervous edge. And then, they battle for 4 quarters, but have some things get away from them. I'm really interested to see the start of this game and just kind of, how much of all of the energy we've spent 9 months and certainly the past 2 or 3 months talking about going into this game, how it kind of plays out in the early going to kind of set the table.
I'm super intrigued to watch this LSU offensive line, because that Clemson defensive line with Woods and Parker, they're going to be one of the best in the country. And the offensive line last year for LSU was such a big plus. So I'm very interested to see how they protect Nussmeier, how they open up holes in the running game. And really, they're going to be the thing that kind of sets the tone for what is supposed to be a high-octane LSU offense, again, led by one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Garrett Nussmeier. On the other side, with Cade Klubnik and those receivers coming back, it's literally two Titans. It's start the day with two Titans, end the day with a matchup of two just amazing teams. I was going to say, when you said you wish you were up there, Clemson's a great campus. It's a great city. I will say that. I had a bunch of fun when I went there all those years ago. But it's just not the real Death Valley. And I stand on business on that. So.
From a football standpoint, I certainly agree with you in terms of my focus. If I'm looking at positional matchups and all those things, starts with the LSU offensive line. I think it's one of the most pivotal and interesting positions or position groups to watch this weekend and early in the season. Not just for LSU, but on a national scale. We're talking about LSU, everything they invested in the transfer portal, trying to go make the playoffs for the first time since that 2019 national championship run. And so much of that hinges on how this offensive line comes together.
Yeah.
It's a group that I think is really talented and has a chance to be really good, potentially really good sooner than later. There has been a lot of confidence expressed from the LSU coaches and players that they think these guys are kind of ready to roll, and that as much as we've watched some competition throughout fall, more of that is about the fact that they have 6, 7, 8 guys they feel really good about than a matter of not feeling good about enough, to field the 5. And so if that proves to be the case and these guys are ready to hit the ground running and be at, a high level of competition right off the bat against one of the top defensive fronts in the country, then that sets up an awful lot for this team, not only Saturday, but for the season as a whole. You talk about Garrett Nussmeier. The receiving core is deep as hell and can fly. It's a track team out there, and what they can do to stretch the field and make a little into a lot anytime the ball gets into one of those guys' hands. Caden Durham and some of the running back room behind him, which is
who's going to be the starting running back on Saturday?
Caden Durham's the guy. Caleb Jackson, they're hoping, has kind of a bounce back season this year. Harlan Berry, the 5-star freshman, will be someone to watch early in his career. Some of the depth that had been in that running back room in some years is not quite there now because of obviously Trey Holly's dynamic and having to go over to Southern, and now JT Lindsay dealing with some legal issues of his own, which waiting to see how that resolves. But the guys that are there are certainly talented and have the ability to make plays if the offensive line sets the table for them. And I've said it throughout this offseason and leading up to this. I have a good amount of confidence that this defense takes another step back forward. And for me, I'm just ready to see, does the offensive line look ready to roll and kind of be inching toward its potential off the bat here in August? It's still August.
And how did you just curse, Char?
Yeah, if SH is a curse jar, then I'm sorry.
It is. Yay. Hold on, I gotta write that timestamp down, guys. Oh, I did. I almost didn't even catch that. That's how much I curse in my regular everyday life. That almost went right over my head.
It's like a curse junior. It's a curse light, you know?
Yeah. I'll leave the SH on there when I do it. It'll just sound like shh.
Just be like watching The Wire. Just stretch it out. Shh.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to The Wire. All right. We do this during the season. It is our Fast 7. We went through that first preview. We're usually going to preview that LSU game a little more in depth. Then we're going to pick it, and we're going to go through 6 other games of this weekend and give you our pick 'em. And at the end of the year, we're going to put all that together, and the loser has to do something very embarrassing. We're not sure what it is yet. Last year it was me. I had to basically write a poem about how Jarrett was better than me and say it on screen. So probably going to have to do that again. I'm trying to figure out who I sound like right now. I feel like
I don't love it, but shout out to you for trooping through it, because it is the start of the college football season, and we needed to have one of these
we did
weekend episodes.
So I'm gonna keep my talk into a minimum, and I'm just gonna bang out some picks. Jared, if you have anything else to say about these games, I'm not gonna grace the people with my gravelly RFK voice right now. So let's go. First game, LSU at Clemson, 6:30 p.m. ABC. Who you got?
Folks that watched our LSU season preview know how anxious I am about this game in a concerned, worrisome way because of some of the stuff we just talked about, some of the issues for LSU starting seasons and the trend that's built there. And so that is something that has been talked about so much this offseason and has to live in the back of these guys' heads a little bit. And there are key places like that offensive line that are somewhat of question marks heading into the season that we're waiting to see what they hold. And they have a really tough matchup. And if things don't go well early, that creeps into your mind a little bit more. Man, we really keep struggling in these, like, here it goes again sort of thing. I hope they go up there and flip the script on everything, but this is a game that concerns me as much as any game on the LSU schedule. And so I'm sticking with my Clemson prediction from the season preview. I think it's going to be a battle, and I hope I'm wrong, but just for the continuity of picks, I'm going to say the Clemson Tigers continue LSU's season opening woes as LSU continues to kind of find its way.
Why didn't you wear an orange and white shirt today?
Don't have
all this noise.
Have one. Don't want one. Regardless of how the dust settles on Saturday night.
Hey, as the ever fan in me, I'm picking LSU. I honestly think because it's been such a point that LSU has lost so many openers, I do think that will be in their head, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's definitely in Brian Kelly's head. So I think the amount of emphasis that will be put on this game, I think LSU is going to go in there. I think they're going to sneak out a win. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think LSU comes out with a win in fake Death Valley, head back home in real Death Valley. So
yeah, all those mental dynamics and focus and how much emphasis you put on different
syllables,
aspects or games or whatever the case may be, it can spin one way or the other. Like, it can be such a great thing or it can be such a concerning thing. And it all just, how this game starts to me will again, it's not going to determine the thing, but it will give me a better feel of how I want to predict the end of it. But going in right now, blank, I'm just worried, and I'm not gonna go in overconfident and get let down with it. I'm gonna try to be pleasantly surprised.
Well, that's why this pairing works, you know. All right, next up we have the other titan of a game that is going to be at 11 a.m. on Fox. Number 1 Texas at number 3 Ohio State. A lot of noise about this game, deservedly so. It's got the former national championship, or the current holding national champion, along with the number 1 team in the country, Texas, and Arch Manning's debut. What do you got? Not debut. Arch Manning's big game, not versus an FCS opponent where he can run 70 yards. You know,
the start of his era at the helm as the starter,
not just taking over for Ewers for a couple of games. The start of the Arch Manning era is Saturday, 11 a.m. in Buckeye Stadium.
This game is part of the silver lining of me not being in Clemson and not being in full game day work mode. We'll talk in a second about another 11 a.m. game with Northwestern visiting Tulane. I'm going to be home on Saturday, making sure that some things that we have tinkering with the site are kind of ready as we get that off the ground this weekend. We'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit more at the end, but also the ability to watch this Tulane game and this Texas-Ohio State game at the same time and just kind of handle a lot from one place. Also watch some of Lee Corso's retirement episode of College Game Day. There's just a lot to try and catch from all over the country. And I'm glad that I get a chance to watch this game because this should be a phenomenal way to help kick off week 1. Another game that I think has the potential to be a battle. 2 quarterbacks stepping into big roles. Arch, obviously, we just talked about it. It's his time now. This is his team, full go, hard launch, all those things. Julian Sayin, the youngster for Ohio State, now has to take over the reins of an offense that is fresh off of a national championship and always has high expectations and huge spotlight. And both these teams had more than a dozen players drafted last year. And so there are a lot of key guys to replace from those great college playoff, semifinalist and national championship teams. But these coaches have done a nice job of stocking some good depth to those rosters. And so I think we're going to see some new faces ready to step up pretty quickly. 2 programs that have recruited at as high a level as anyone. And I don't think this is going to be the best Arch games or Julian Sayin games that we see all season, but I think both of those guys are going to be ready for a big moment. And it could come down to just a play or 2 here or there. And I lean Texas to go in there on the road. I trust Arch's experience relative to Julian Sayin's experience and knowing a little bit about Arch and his makeup and all those things. I think his ability to handle a road game, a raucous morning and early afternoon crowd, his familiarity with this offense being there 3 years and, having no coaching changes in terms of head coach, OC, all those things. I think he's going to be ready to execute, and they're going to be able to open up a lot of what they want to do this season right off the bat. And so, yeah, I'm going to give the Longhorns the edge.
Yeah, I think the Arch show starts now. I think it's going to be a very, very wild ride, but I believe that the Arch show starts literally on Saturday at 11 a.m. So I'm going with Texas as well. Next,
you're expecting Arch to be like top of ESPN, like
oh my god,
just like a crazy game.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Sorry. Hey, Alexa, turn off. Sorry, guys. My Alexa wanted to chime in.
I'm not quite sure what she thinks we need help with. I mean, there's plenty, but what specifically?
Nothing right now. I think that this will be just the gourmet dinner that ESPN and First Take engorges themselves on Monday, or I guess Tuesday morning, since Monday is a holiday. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Next up, Northwestern at Tulane, 11 a.m. on ESPNU. The Northwestern Devils. What are they? Are they the Devils? What are they?
They're Wildcats.
The Wildcats. Oh, this is not. This
is Evanston,
this
Illinois.
Is Evanston. Oh,
yeah.
I thought this was Louisiana Northwestern. Never mind.
This is the first Big Ten opponent to visit Tulane since I believe it's 1955.
Well, I did that so you could educate the people on that. That's why I made that mistake. There we go. Northwestern is coming into Tulane. I'm going to go at it. I think Tulane takes this at home. I don't think Northwestern is that great of a team and will be around the bottom in the Big Ten. And Tulane has playoff aspirations. So I expect them to come out and stand on business, as we said earlier.
Just trying to double check that 1955. Actually, yeah, I think it was 1955 and Northwestern that visited at that point. I'm going to go ahead and go with Tulane as well. For them, some similarities we're talking about with these other teams in terms of there's an optimism there. There's some talent there. We're eager to see, particularly with some key transfer portal additions, just how it looks off the bat. How far into that progression these guys are as coming together as a team. And, particularly as an offense where you had to replace the quarterback position and you brought in 4 guys and one of the guys that was having a great offseason has been banged up. We think Brendan Sullivan will be available in some capacity on Saturday. He returned to practice Tuesday from that bone bruise, but it looks like Jake Retzlaff will be the starter, the transfer from BYU, who we talked about a month ago. I guess he was a late addition to this Tulane roster, but a guy that obviously brings some high level experience and a ton of talent and has the ability to make plays. Certainly has been in some games of this caliber and bigger already in his college career, but can Tulane get the running game going early to help Retzlaff and whoever ends up taking snaps at different points during the course of this game? How are the new corners ready to roll against the Wildcats? There are questions, but I think Tulane finds more answers than concerns on Saturday to start the season and comes out with a home win and a nice way to start the season against a Power 4 opponent, despite it not being Ohio State visiting or anything. It's still a positive for sure.
Absolutely. Let's go. Next up, Nichols at Troy, 6 p.m. ESPN Plus. If you're looking to watch that, Nichols coming off a win last week, 20-6, looking to have a win streak for probably the first time in a little while. I don't know if they had a win streak last year. Might have.
Nichols is good. Why are you sleeping on Nichols?
Because it's Nichols.
We're trying to see what their best stretch of wins was last season. You can continue talking now.
Do I have to? You're giving me more time to sound like Kermit the Frog with an ashtray in his mouth. No, I was going to say I think Nichols controls this game like they did last week with the run, and they're able to pull out a win versus Troy at Troy.
Big prediction there. So Nichols did not win more than 2 games consecutively last year. They won back-to-back games a couple times. They had 4-game winning streak 2 years ago. Just trying to make sure that we get a little respect on the Colonel's recent history. I, unfortunately, though, am not predicting them to go out to Troy and get a win. They're, I'm going to say, heavy underdogs, quite the way that some of these early season games go, where you see lines that are like 35 or 40. I think it's 20.5 is the line on this one. I think they cover that and give Troy more of a battle than the home fans would like to see from an FCS opponent. And I think that Nichols is capable of winning this game, but I'm going to take Troy to kind of weather some of that storm and pull the thing out at home.
All right. Next up, Southeastern Louisiana at Louisiana Tech, 6:30 p.m. ESPN Plus as well. Really glad the 2 Louisiana teams are getting to face off against each other, but as poor as Louisiana Tech season went last year, Southeastern is a FCS, not an FBS opponent, and there's a reason I think that they're scheduled to play up there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Louisiana Tech on this W for this game.
Yeah, I love that we have these type of games, two Louisiana teams facing early in the season, we've got it. I mean, in a few places throughout the year, and certainly when you get in a conference and you end up with games like the Cajuns and ULM late, and obviously Bayou Classic and everything. LSU will come home next week and host Louisiana Tech, but I think Louisiana Tech, as you said, FBS program, home team, a year that we think there's an opportunity for Sonny Cumbie and company to potentially get back to a bowl game and all of those things. And if that's going to be the case, then you've got to start by taking care of FCS Southeastern to kick off the season. I think they will do so. The defense will be really good, as we talked about in our season preview. And I think the running back duo and, some experience at quarterback and all those things are going to bode well on Saturday at the Joe.
All right. Absolutely. And last up of our Saturday slate, and our 6 of 7 games, we're going to go Rice at the Louisiana University Cajuns, 7 p.m. ESPN Plus as well. I think this could be a sneaky tough game for the Cajuns coming out of the gate. I'm going to go with Rice taking a.
Ooh,
I know, taking a surprise W at newly built Cajun Field. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, they're having a big day out there, showing off the new renovations, the new digs that they're very proud of, all those things, and you're looking for a damper on that parade on Saturday night. That's fine. You called them ULL on here like a week ago, so people are already ticked off with you, and you might as well just double down and play the heel, play the villain.
That's right.
I do think the Cajuns go ahead and start this season off with a W out there in their improved home stadium setting. Walker Howard comes in, and we've talked about their 2 running backs and the strength of their offensive line, a deep group last year that a lot of those guys are back this year. They've got some young talent behind them. The defense, I think, is going to be solid this year. And I think they go ahead and, a team that I anticipate being among the top teams in the Sun Belt Conference once again this year. I think they're 1-0 coming out of Saturday night.
All right. Last up on our Sunday slate, the Sunday game, as always, going into Labor Day weekend, there's usually a ranked matchup on the Sunday slate, and this year's no different. It is Notre Dame at Miami. Is this a neutral site game, or is this at Miami?
I don't even know, honestly.
Either way, it's 6:30 on ABC. I'm going to go ahead and pick Notre Dame. I picked them to make the college football playoff. I do not trust Carson Beck after last year, and then just kind of hearing some of the locker room stuff with him. And then I, in turn, do trust Marcus Williams as a coach and have
Freeman.
him in the playoffs. Marcus Freeman. Yes, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Notre Dame, take the W here.
It looks like the game is actually at Miami. And regardless of that, I was going to take Miami to win this thing. Coincidentally, having not even looked at this weekend's schedule outside of the Louisiana teams and Texas and Ohio State, while I was working on some stuff earlier this week, threw on a couple of 30 for 30s, including Catholics versus convicts. And so I'm just in the mood for this. I'm looking forward to this one on Sunday night now. I'm glad I'm not going to be traveling back from South Carolina and can take this one in as well. But I think Carson Beck has a positive season, and I know that they're super excited about him down there and what he's bringing to the table. I think Mario Cristobal and company have done a really nice job of recruiting this roster and have playmakers all over the place. And I think that they are going to be a team that surprises people somewhat. Obviously, they're ranked 10 going into the season, but I think some people maybe look, okay, Cam Ward went off to the NFL, got to replace some guys. Maybe this is not quite the same team it was last year. I think they are. And I think they'll start this season with a win against Notre Dame, 2 teams that we drafted to make the playoffs respectively. And so we'll stick to our
stick to our guns. Got to stick to our guns. That is the PODnas Pick 7. We're going to do that every week for y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. We really appreciate it. We have some big news tomorrow. We are launching a website. I'm not launching anything. Jarrett is launching a website. Louisiana versus All Y'all website is going to go live. So Jarrett, why don't you tell the people a little bit about it, what you expect from it, and kind of what's to come in this next phase of Louisiana versus All Y'all.
Looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a good looking site with some good stuff right out the gate, and that it is very much going to be just the starting point for a lot of additions and tweaks and improvements over the course of this first sports/school year of having it. It's something that my guy Mark Miller up there in Shreveport has worked a ton on. He and I have been on FaceTime a lot of late nights over the last few weeks, and I'm sure as he's sitting there working on it, his wife and kids are wondering, why the hell are you on FaceTime with Jarrett Roser until 2 a.m. again tonight? What's going on here? Like, y'all are obnoxious. But all of that work, I think, is going to show early with a good looking site that covers Louisiana high school sports at a high level, has its kind of fingerprints on some college coverage, certainly a lot of recruiting, a little dabble into some of the Saints and Pell stuff, similar to some of the things that we do here on PODnas, and you'll be able to find, another place to find the PODnas episodes and Recruit That Boot episodes and all those things. But I'm really looking forward to the start of this. I am even more so looking forward to kind of the vision for the future with, us and Mark and Jacob Colson and Brett McCormick and Cole Miller and Brennan Ziegler and different guys that are all involved with this. Sam Spiegelman, my co-host for Recruit That Boot. I think there's a lot to be excited about now, and even more to be excited about as we continue to grow this thing, because I think it's going to be a great one-stop shop for Louisiana sports fans for an awful lot of good content.
Absolutely. We can't wait for it. I'm going to go ahead and put that. Why don't you give us what's the link? Is it Louisiana versus all y'all.com, LA versus all y'all.com?
It's the full Louisiana versus all y'all.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put it right there.
Easy peasy.
Love that. All right, guys, that is all we have for today. Thank y'all so much for coming out, watching. Please like, share, comment on the video. We'd love to interact with you. And if you want to follow us, go to Louisiana versus all y'all.com first and foremost, but also you can find us on socials, LA versus all y'all on Twitter and Instagram, and PODnas_LA on Instagram for the PODnas channel. That's all we got for you today. We'll see y'all on Monday when we recap the first college football weekend, I guess on Tuesday when we come out. But we'll record this on Monday and get it out to y'all as soon as possible. My voice should be better. Jared's voice is fine. Thank y'all so much. PODnas.